Hello, sports fans. I'm Lance Leonard, and welcome to the inaugural episode. How about that, Jimmy? Of the Fieldhouse Podcast. It's a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. I am joined by President and CEO of Kids Incorporated and my co-host, Jimmy Lackey. We have a great show planned for you today. But first, Jimmy, let's talk about how this podcast came about.
Well, first off, thank you for doing this for us.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's a lot of fun to interview people.
This is something that I've wanted to do for Kids Inc. for a long time. And Ashley and I have talked about it for well over a couple of years. And we ended up with a student intern that had some expertise in this area, and Maddie's sitting over there behind the behind the control panel over there. And her and Ashley put this set together.
Amazing.
Craig and Chris came in and helped us get it built. And but it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and not just about Kids Inc. stuff, but about sports in general in the Texas Panhandle, and something that's just focused on sports, but has a little bit of youth background in it, because everybody that we're going to talk to has some kind of tie back to Kids Inc. And it was just something that's been on my radar screen for a while, and now here we are sitting at this fancy desk and getting to do something like this. And so I'm excited about it. I'm grateful for the work that the girls have put into this. Ashley Hildebrandt, Madeline Emmel, they've poured their heart and soul in this deal. I mean, look at it. Not only are people hearing us on the audio, but they're getting it on the video too. That may be the scary part.
Yeah, that's
as time goes on.
In there, yeah. It's amazing what they've done, and we're so appreciative. I've done a few of these, maybe just as going around, but this is a professional as you're going to get, and so I have all the respect in the world for what they've done for us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little shout out to my daughter, Ashley. Maddie came up with the idea today that we should have had mugs, and so in a pinch, the girls over at Cetera made these for us for the day, and I mean, those were made in about an hour.
That's pretty sweet.
We appreciate them getting that done for us and putting something fancy on our desk. But I'm excited about today's guest. I think it's the perfect one for the very first inaugural one of these, and so I'm excited what we're fixing to get into here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm so fired up for this, and I'm sure you guys will be too. So stick with us. We're going to get this done.
Okay.
Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Leonard, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast.
Welcome back. Man, Jimmy, aren't you excited today who we have here? This is our very first podcast. Let me give you a quick background. We have Leslie Broadhurst in here, started at Randall in 1988. He was age 29 when he took that job. We'll ask him about that as we go. But anyway, 36 years there, the only coach, 700 career wins. You can go on and on, back-to-back state tournament appearances the last 2 years, and just the godfather of boys basketball here in the Texas Panhandle. Leslie, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited about being. I'm always excited about being around you two guys. We tell a lot of good stories, and maybe there'll be some good ones that other people can hear. So thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Hey, Jimmy, why don't you kick it off for us today?
Well, you got big news coming out of Canyon ISD. We got a gymnasium named after you. Let's talk a little bit about that.
That feels really awesome. I'm very grateful for this honor. It's I've almost been there long enough to. Well, it's like a lot of my friends, coaches from different parts of the states call me and say, it's just amazing that you haven't made them mad that they've run you off. 36 years, I don't know how you've lasted that long, but it just shows you the people that we have. The first guy that hired me, Mike Wardis, I mean, what a great man. I joke with him and joke with you guys, and I wanted that job so bad. I was an assistant at Borger when I first heard that the school was being built, and I would drive over to Amarillo and drive out there by it and watch it come up. And he told me, I would love to hire you, but you need to be a head coach. And so I went to Morton for 1 year And then I kept calling him so much that I think he just got tired of hearing my voice. So he just, one night he said, I'll just give it to you if you'll just leave me alone. But it wasn't quite that crazy, but anyway, it's been a great run, and Mike hired me, and, we just had great ADs, great principals. Stephen Singleton's our principal now. I know he had a big push in this, getting the gym named. Dr. Flushy, our superintendent now, our board, I don't know. It's just a nice place to work, and they've always just felt like they've taken care of us, and we've tried to work hard for them, and so we're excited. It'll be a fun day when we walk in there and see that. So I think it's a great thing. But if I told Heather, if you get brain cancer, 50% of people start realizing that you're a lot nicer than you used to be. And so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that.
Jimmy,
They've always been really nice to me.
That's the one thing about Coach Broadhurst, man. He can joke about literally anything. But I got to ask you, that's kind of a way of life, with you, and I admire that, because I am not funny at all. Okay, I cannot. Even if it's a great joke, I'll mess it up. Okay. But you have a knack to make people smile, to make people laugh. And, even Ron Reeves mentioned in a recent story how back in high school you were the same way. You're competitive, intense when you had to be, but you were a great teammate. And one of the reasons is because you were so funny.
Yeah, well,
why that part of your life? How'd you get like that?
I really don't know. I guess I was kind of born that way. I never have tried to take myself too seriously. Now, Heather will tell you that there's times when I do take myself too seriously, and she keeps me grounded. But, I just think people that can just laugh. Laughing is one of the greatest things about life. And, once you have something like a brain tumor, you really realize how I've heard it called medicine for the soul, and I don't know, just don't be so serious. Just, do things the right way and do your job, but enjoy it. And we try to laugh with our players and the coaching staff, and I don't know, that's just kind of the way I am, and so we try to have some fun and not go crazy, but
yeah, you've always been good at it. We used to run the basketball tournaments for the school district. We'd have a media luncheon before the tournament started, and I could always count on Leslie giving us a joke before we finished up for the day. They were just off the cuff.
It was so good. It was so good. But with that said, you brought it up a couple times now. Let's get to it. You were diagnosed with this brain tumor. Take us in, like, at the beginning of the season. Were you feeling a little off ever, or take us in? As I understand it, you had to finally be sat down and said, "Man,
yeah, let's go.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Let's go try this." The ones who are closest to you the most and love you the most, had to sit you down and said, "Is that true?"
That's basically what happened. Well, what happened was, I never really felt bad, and even today, I haven't had headaches. I haven't had, my hair's starting to fall out, so I'm going to be one of those bald guys here pretty quick. But other than that, I really never felt terrible. Now, about Christmas time, I noticed that I was kind of irritable, and Heather could tell you at home, I would, usually I'm pretty laid back, and I would snip at her a little bit, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" And that started around Christmas, and I don't know. I thought it was maybe I turned 65. Maybe that's a part of life it changes. I didn't know what it was, but there wasn't any pain or anything. But the night we played Canyon, which was I think January 30th on a Tuesday, during that game, I didn't feel as sharp. I felt a little slow, and I was really having to work through my words. I actually, for the first time in my life, I was thinking before I spoke. Which, I've always been told, think before you speak. Well, I was having to think through things. And at halftime, you can ask our players. Now, I haven't asked them this, but I bet they'll tell you, we thought he was crazy because I drew up a set to run for the second half. And then a minute later, I drew it up again, and then I drew it up again. I drew the same play 3 times. Well, at that moment, Trevor Johnson, I think he thought I was wacko, and he didn't say anything. But anyway, we made it through, went through the second half, and after the game, Trevor and Heather and Blair, my son, had noticed some changes in my behavior, and so they said, let's go to the office, and we sat in there, and they all told me we're kind of concerned. Let's go to the doctor, and they wanted to go that night, and I said, let's just go in the morning and find out. We'll have a checkup, and maybe I'm fine. Well, we go to BSA in that morning, and they did a CAT scan or MRI, whatever, all that stuff. And then they came back and said, you've got a brain tumor. And I'll be honest with you, there hadn't been any cancer in my family. My dad's 90 years old right now. I have an uncle that lived to be 102. I feel good, and I thought I was one of those invincible guys. I thought, you can coach to 75 if you want to. You'll be able to do. And just a word to everybody, we're not invincible, and when all of us might have a moment that we're not expecting. Well, that was my moment, and it kind of woke me up a little bit, and so anyway, we stayed there.
Wait! Somebody just tells you you have a brain tumor. So, how did you react? I mean,
yeah, I just they didn't tell us how serious it was. They probably told Heather. Did they tell you? Yeah, they told her, but they try to keep that stuff behind me because they want me to still stay positive, I guess, which I've really tried to do. I think I'd be a big hypocrite if the way we teach our players and coach them, you got to fight through stuff. There's going to be obstacles. You've got to fight through it. And if I laid down and felt sorry for myself, well, man, what kind of guy am I, So anyway, through the whole deal, I was able to just I'm a believer, and I think I relied on the Lord, and I don't know, it just there's been a peace that like I told my pastor, Howie Batson, I told him, I said, man, I just feel like if it's my time to go, I've lived 65 years, and I'm going to heaven, and it's going to be better than any of you guys have. I'm looking at it that way. Now, on the flip side, I've got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, grandkids, and I'm not ready. So don't take me yet, Lord, if you can give me some more years. But I just kind of approached it like that, and so we stayed in the hospital a couple of days in Amarillo, and then we went to MD Anderson, and they were able to get us in, and we had so that was January 31st when I went to the doctor out here in Amarillo, and on February 9th, she cut all the way across here and took out a tumor here in the front. And I've actually got, here's the neat thing, I've got metal up here. She told me how she did it, had to keep it together. So I've got metal here, and then about 2 years ago, I had my knee, Tyler Cooper did my knee replacement, and I've got metal down here. So, do you have
one of those cards you can get through the airport with?
It doesn't go off. I guess they've got some new metal or something.
Craig had his hip done, and they gave him a card. He's got a card that gets him through the metal
really?
detectors now. Yeah.
You might have to get one of those
Yeah,
just in case. Yeah,
maybe so.
Let's take a break.
Okay.
Because I want to come back and talk more about this. This is fascinating, but we'll go take a break and we'll come back here in just a minute.
Yeah.
Before we dive back into today's episode, let me share a fun fact with you. Did you know that the Fieldhouse Podcast is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network? That's right, Kids Inc. isn't just any sports organization. We have been a source for youth sports since 1945. From teaching kids the fundamentals of teamwork to fostering a love for the game, Kids Inc. is where champions are made. And here's the best part. As a listener of the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're a part of the Kids Inc. family too. Head over to kidsinc.org to learn more about current registrations, upcoming sports leagues, and how you can get involved in supporting your local young athletes. But wait, here's the kicker. Have you heard of the Rock Rose Sports Park Home Field Advantage campaign? It's a game changer for our community, aiming to provide state-of-the-art facilities for young athletes to train and compete. So if you believe in the power of sports to shape young lives and want to be a part of something truly special, check out kidsinc.org today and join us in making a difference. Together, let's continue to support the next generation of champions and to ensure that every child has the opportunity to succeed both on and off the field.
Hey, welcome back into the Fieldhouse Podcast. We got Leslie Broadhurst, Randall High boys basketball coach here with us, Jimmy Lackey. What is your official title? I just call you
Chief
the man.
Toilet Cleaner.
Okay, Chief Toilet Cleaner.
When one of them gets clogged up, guess who they call?
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe they need those kind of guys. But
that's what I tell
Jimmy's been CEO, president, whatever they call the main man at Kids Inc. for a lengthy time. How many years now?
29.
29. Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick before we get back to Coach Broadhurst, how have you enjoyed 29 years?
Oh, this is not like coming to work. I mean, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is not like coming to work.
It's great. It's great. Yeah.
Great
You feel like
people.
that too,
I feel the
Coach?
same. I've never worked a day in my life, man.
And we're just so happy for you. Also, one of the things we want to get to, but one of the questions I want to ask, if you don't mind, Jimmy, Reverend Charles Broadhurst. You kind of brought it up, okay? That's your dad, 90 years old,
Yeah.
but obviously he raised a great young man into a man. How was he able? What impact did Charles Broadhurst have on you?
Well, he was a preacher, and the thing that I respect the most about him is he was just real. He didn't try to be, well, I'm a preacher, so you've got to act this way. He was totally opposite. I can remember when we were young kids, I was the oldest of three. I have a sister and then a younger brother. But I can remember him sitting us down and said, we want you, me and your mom, it was a family meeting, you're going to act right because we've taught you to act right. You don't act right because I'm the preacher. That has nothing to do with it. You're going to do some things that will probably embarrass me, which I did. Nobody's perfect, but I thought that was the way to handle it. Many of my friends whose dad were preachers, they got the speech, now I'm the preacher of this church and you can't embarrass our family, so you better not. Don't do this, don't do that. He never told me that. He just said, we've taught you right and wrong, and you do right because that's what you're supposed to do. And I thought that was genius, I thought he had it figured out. And my friends, whose dad were preachers that told them the other, they resented that, and they said, I've got to live up to this because him and all. And I never felt that way. So I thought that was probably as good a thing. And then he told me when I went to Randall, I asked him advice, and he said if I had it to do over again, I would just find a place I really liked with people I really enjoyed working with, and I would just plant right there and just build something and just stay there and make it my home. And so that's kind of what I decided to do. I knew I was going to be at Randall unless they fired me. I wanted to be there at least 10 years. Never dreamed at the time I took the job that I'd be there 36 years. But, man, it's just been a great ride and been a lot of fun. So anyway, my dad, he's a wise man, and he gave me a lot of good advice, and I held on to some of it.
You don't know this, but so when I found out about your situation, I don't like getting things too far down the road. I wanted to get with somebody that could tell me what was going on. I was concerned about you. And you don't know this, but I called Steve Singleton and I called Toby Tucker. I said, tell me what's going on. And so I got my fill in from them. But, Steve just calls you the mayor. He says, that guy's the mayor of Randall. And, they speak so highly of you. And, I look back and think about, you and Coach Wilcoxon put such a culture in place there. And I think that's what's made your stay there even better because of the culture y'all established early on. And I think back to those days. And, I've witnessed this firsthand, but I want you to tell them, you teach PE, but it's not just PE.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Honors PE.
Honors PE. Talk a little bit about honors PE.
It's sad this year. I hope that didn't have something to do with the downfall of me here, but our class does not have as many soldiers in it this year. They've started offering online PE and all this stuff, and some of those kids are taking it. So we used to have 30 to 40 kids in one PE, boys. And so actually Jim Wilcoxon, who was my great, great friend, one of the greatest guys on earth, and you guys, if you were around him, you had fun. You were going to enjoy life, and what a great guy he was. But he kind of phrased it, you need to run an honors class and just tell those guys that they're the chosen, and start making them work out like military guys, and you're training them for the military. So he put that idea in my head, and sure enough, we started doing that. And so a lot of guys, now this year we've only got 12, 13 guys, so it's been an adjustment period. I've got to figure out something in the future if that's all we're going to have in there. But for the most part, we would get in lines, and I would take roll, and then side straddle hop, ready, exercise, and I'll do my 1, 2, 3, and then 1, and I'll make them bark it out. If they don't bark it loud enough, we'll start over, and I'll ask them, "Are you ready to exercise?" "Sir, yes, sir." It's just fun, and the kids end up liking it. First, they think I'm the weirdest guy on earth,
Yeah.
But then they know that it's kind of there's charts everywhere. There's metrics everywhere. All their competitions, they've got stuff in the hallway. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah,
it's classic.
We play sports, and I referee and announce their names, give them some credit, for what they're doing. But we'll play arena football, we'll play basketball, hillbilly kickball, which was invented by David Carino, our wrestling coach.
Oh, wow.
You run the opposite direction, and you can have 20 guys on a base if you want. You don't have to run. And then,
Really?
Yeah, when you get in, if you go yeehaw and dance, you get 3 runs instead of 1 because you acted like a hillbilly.
I like it.
Anyway, we have fun, and the kids have fun, and so yeah, Jim Wilcox is actually the guy that spurred me on to honors PE. So, but it's a fun class.
It's outstanding, and you were always so good to my wife when she was principal at Pinnacle. And you'd bring kids over, and y'all would support all those kids over in that 5th and 6th grade campus too. So, the reach that you make, Coach, is phenomenal. But that honors PE is everybody needs.
Classic.
Everybody needed to see that.
I love that.
It's one of a kind.
Yeah. Who inspired you? Who when you go coach now? Who are the coaches that, or do you have your own style? Did you decide good or bad, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You follow somebody or you don't.
Well, I think, there's a lot of coaches that I've read books. Even in high school, I'd read books on coaches because I knew I wanted to coach. Now, I loved all sports, but I'll tell you this, I became a basketball coach for sure in Hereford, Texas, my senior year at Monterey. We played a football game there, and I played football at Monterey and basketball. And we got there, and there was no snow, and it snowed 12 inches. And my feet were so cold. I thought I was going to take my shoe off and the toes were gone. I thought they had totally frozen. And that night, I'm not doing this. I'm not going. And all the football coaches can call me a sissy if they want right now. But I did not want to. And Heather can tell you, I hate cold. I just do not like cold. And that night, I said, I'm staying indoors. And but as far as coaches, it's an odd thing because I learned a lot of things from Bobby Knight. And when he came to Tech, I would go work his camps, and he would have sit down with all the coaches one night, and you could ask as many questions as you want, and learn so much from him. And he's totally different than the guy that I read his book, and I read it every so often still, is John Wooden. Totally different coaching styles. John Wooden was very articulate, very, control, and Bob Knight was a fierce competitor, and we all know he threw the chair,
yeah,
stuff like that. But I think you study all coaches, and you take the good. And I had a guy tell me before I ever started, don't try to coach like somebody else. Don't pattern your coaching style after John Wooden or Bob Knight. Just take things that they did and employ it in the way you coach. And I thought that was really good advice because you can learn from all different people. And so there's been a number of people I've learned from. I had the opportunity to work for Dwayne Hunt at Borger, who was he's still alive today. He's 80 years old. He came to Fort Worth and watched our games. He was able to come to San Antonio to the game. But man, what a great coach and what a great person. As fine a man as you'll ever meet. I was with him for 3 years, and he taught me to, do the right thing in every situation, and don't be, I didn't know what I was going to do if there was a parent that was really, really mad. I'd never done it. I learned from him and the way he handled things and the way he dealt with problems. I think your average person doesn't think that those things are as important, especially if you want to stay somewhere for a long time. Those are important, that you handle your program the right way and be fair, but be honest and try to do what's best for everybody. So I think Dwayne Hunt was really awesome in teaching me a lot of things about basketball and about how to handle other things in coaching.
That's cool. I have an experience with John Wooden and Bob Knight, okay, real quick. John Wooden, believe it or not, when they built the President's Home at West Texas A&M, he was invited to help open it, okay?
Really?
Yeah, John Wooden. And who was the guy, the Crystal Cathedral out in California, remember?
Robert Schuler?
That guy was there too, okay?
Really?
Those two cats were there, okay? And so I'm a young reporter there. John Wooden, sitting alone on the couch, just as quiet as a mouse. He would talk to anybody who would come to him. No showboat, no nothing, you know what I mean? But that I Am Coach is the name of the book, I think, but I had a paperback model of it, and it was kind of ripped up, and so it's not like I was getting a souvenir and selling the autograph, So I have a paperback John Wooden signed book, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? He was very, very kind, and then Schuler was out there being the preacher. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm here, And it was all good. It was all good. Bob Knight, Pampa, Texas. I didn't want to ask a stupid question. He's up there at some meeting. They said, hey, Lance, come up and interview Bob Knight. It's all good. I walk in there. He sees a reporter, and, man, I just get the Bob Knight stare, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. It's quiet. There's about 20 people around. Go ahead, Lance, ask your question. I said, and I did some research on his wife coaching an Oklahoma and Texas All-Star game, which I thought, hey, this is a great way. Not talk about Bob. He'll talk about his wife. And I go, hey, your wife, he goes, we're not talking about my wife. No. And interview over. I walked out and drove home to Amarillo. So that's my Bob Knight story. But anyway, is he like that behind the scenes? I'm just curious real quick.
He just gets the coaches, any coaches that want to come tonight, it'd be like the second or third night of the camp, meet down in the lobby at 10:30. The kids had to be in bed. They were supposed to be in bed at 10:30. Meet at 10:30, and we'll just sit around, and you guys bring up topics. And I think it's really funny this year. I mean, that's been 20-something years ago. This year on our team, everybody knows KJ Thomas, a guard who that guy could play. We had a number of guys that were really good. But KJ, even though he's 6'1", I remembered I was visiting with Trevor about it. I said, we need to try this because some different teams were running zone. And Bob Knight would just let you ask any question. Now, if you ask a dumb question, he would he'd just look at you and go, I mean, you literally prepared what questions you were going to, just like you did.
I had 20 good questions.
Even in this coaches meeting, you don't want to go in there and ask something where because he would embarrass you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was embarrassed.
But he would, a lot of questions, he'd say, that's a really good question. Let me answer this. He was down to earth and stuff. But I did take away something from 20 years ago in that meeting, and we put it in our offense this year and put KJ in a different spot, and it worked really well. So learned a lot of things just from being around those guys. But he was very intimidating. But the day here's what was really he was really smart, because the day that the kids checked into camp in that dorm, he is out there. It's like he's the mayor of Lubbock. He's shaking in all the moms and dads' hands, and he's welcome to camp, And and a lot of those guys, they don't come back to camp until the last day. Not Bob Knight. That thing starts at 8:30. Now he's not working the camp, but he's walking around. Yeah. And if he sees a kid do something wrong, he'll go over there and he would correct him, and he would.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know when Coach Cooper was at WT, they went down and scrimmaged.
Yeah.
He said they made sure they treated them like kings when WT would show up to go down there. He said he's first class all around.
Yeah.
I had a good friend. Did you ever know Don Meyer? Did you ever meet Coach Meyer? Yeah. I got to know Coach Meyer real well. A friend of mine, Jim Smith, was his president in his university and introduced us, and we became very close friends. And I took Craig and his wife and my wife out to a evening of excellence with Don Meyer. But he was a big Bob Knight fan and a John Wooden fan both, and to hear Coach Meyer's perspective on those guys, they're two different kind of guys, but both of them knew their craft real well.
Yeah.
So it was always fun hearing it from Coach.
Yeah.
That's kind of the great thing about coaching. Everybody's so different.
Yeah.
It'd be boring if you guys were all the same. I'm just going to tell you right now. Yeah.
Well, we got some more questions for you. We're going to come back here in just a minute. You're at the Fieldhouse Podcast on the Kids Inc. Sports Network.
Before we dive back into the next segment, we would like to introduce the group that has contributed to the production of the Fieldhouse Podcast, Rogers Lead WT.
This year's lead scholars are Kyle Brown, Cade Cox, Morgan Ellerton, and Jenna Hurd, and Riley Miller. We partnered with Kids Inc. to create a podcast that would reach the sports community and make an impact on the community for years to come.
Rogers Lead WT is a 2-year leadership program at West Texas A&M University that select college students, develop their leadership skills, and gives them the opportunities that every college student should take advantage of.
The core values of Rogers Lead WT are integrity, service, excellence, teamwork, and dreaming big. And every lead scholar gets the opportunity to enhance these qualities as they develop into the leaders of the next generation.
And with that, we would like to thank the Kids Inc. staff and Jimmy for allowing us to be part of this amazing production. Now with that, back to the Fieldhouse Podcast.
Hey, welcome back. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. We're having a great time today. We got Coach Broadhurst, Leslie Broadhurst from Randall High. The gym was just named. So is it the whole gym, like the whole complex is named after you, or is it?
Well, let me tell you.
Are you going to be like Joe Lombard with your name on the court and all that too?
People over the course of the last 5 years, people come up to me, Broadhurst, you're here so long, they're going to name the gym. They're going to name it after. I said, they've already named something after me. And they'll say, what? And I go, you go into that men's bathroom, stall 3, and there's a picture of me right there, and everybody's aiming for me. And a funny thing, somebody sent me a text yesterday that said, well, now it's not just urinal 3, it's the whole gym, Broadhurst. Congratulations.
That is pretty cool, though.
They said it's going to be called Leslie Broadhurst Gymnasium. Is what they're.
Yeah, I saw this.
What I've seen, everything I've seen.
Yeah,
that's going to
so
be
that's
awesome.
Really
yeah.
nice.
The House of Doom up there with it as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
I got one more.
Go ahead.
I mean, we did talk about it, but I got to ask you when we were getting ready to do this interview, I tried to put myself in your shoes. I told you this to your face once. There's no way I would have handled it the way you did, like this positive attitude. I just want to shout at you publicly how impressed I am. Well, I think I would be whining, crying, why me, God, in my bed or whatever. But I've got to ask you, somebody wakes up and is going to have brain surgery. So when you wake up on that morning, what do you think in that minute when your eyes open up?
Well, it's kind of like what I told before the lady that did the surgery down there. She's one of the top 5 brain surgeons. I read up on her. Heather found some stuff, and I'd read up on her. We'd met her, and just she's from the West Indies, just a sweet lady. And I told her before, I said, okay, this is the way I kind of operate. I'm a coach, so I've got to get a game plan here before we do this. And so what I told you earlier, I said, I'm a believer. I know that I'm going to be with God. I'm going to be in heaven when I leave this earth. And so if it doesn't work, I'm going to be a better place. Now, I know you're one of the top brain surgeons, not only in the city of Houston, not only in the state of Texas, but in the world. And I said, I'm excited to get this thing. Let's just get it going. And she leans back and goes, now, you're the first person I've ever heard say you're excited about brain cancer, about having brain surgery. And I said, well, I'm excited to get it done. Let's get it done. She goes, okay, yeah. And she was wearing green Chuck Taylor Converse shoes.
That's awesome.
And so I told her, and I said, and that is a good sign for a basketball coach. So
black and silver would have been a little better. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But
that's really cool story.
And then it was it seemed like I wasn't in there long, but I woke up and it was a 7-hour surgery. I think it was supposed to be 9 hours, but she did it in 7 hours, and she went all the way across. You can't see my scars bad, but anyway, that's kind of and really, I mean, if you believe in God, and I mean, we don't need to fit. The only thing is, I love my wife more than anybody on earth, and I wanted to spend more. I'm not gone. I want to spend quality time with her, my children, and especially my grandchildren too. So that's where I become kind of selfish, because I want to still spend time there. And I just have approached it that way. And there's people that whip this stuff, and I'm just telling Heather, we're going to fight it just like it's a game, and just every day wake up, let's go, let's get it. And
Jimmy and I have talked about this, but the outpouring of love, Leslie, like the Team Broadhurst shirts. You see the Canyon Eagles of all team warming up in them. You know what I mean? You have these bracelets. I wear one to this day, Team Broadhurst. But I mean, it was all over the Panhandle, not just in one state of Texas. I'm sure other places as well. When you learned of that stuff, how did that affect you?
It brought tears to my. Now I'm an emotional guy. Heather and I go to a movie. I'll be the guy that cries. She'll be over there eating popcorn, laughing. I'll be over there.
You a crier?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We got 3 criers up here. We may have to get emotional here. Okay.
So anyway, they would send me pictures from text line or, teams that weren't even in our classification. And I think all the teams in our district wore the shirts, and it was very moving, and it made me realize that, people are more, I guess you'd say people are more important than championships, or, you really realize where people are coming from, and whether their coaches made them do it or not. It was a nice gesture, and I thought it was really, it was touching and meant something to us.
Well, at the shootout, the annual Randall Fun Day you have there, those shirts sold out like that because I got there to watch a game and they were already sold out, so I had to order one. You know what I mean? So I don't think coaches forced them to do anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you got, Jimmy?
Well, to wrap this deal up, it's as if we hadn't talked about all the big stuff. We still got one more big thing going
let's
on.
go 2 more.
Okay.
The first year you guys made it to state, when you're in Lubbock Christian University, you knock off Canyon, and you're going to state for the first time.
Yeah.
What were those feelings? What was that emotion that day?
It was an awesome feeling. I think that was the 9th time we'd been to the regional tournament. Now, some of those we'd gotten beat in the semifinals, but I believe there was either 4 or 5 that we had gotten beat. Well, 4 years in a row we lost in the regional finals, and I think one other year. So 5 of the 9 had been regional finals, and I don't know why, we just came up short during that time. And the last one of the 4 in a row was when Hereford beat us, and they were in our district. Randy Dean was coaching them, and the Hodges boys were over there, and we'd beaten them both times in district, and that one was really hard. But to finally punch the ticket and win that game, man, it was really, I think any coach would tell you that a dream of every coach is to go play in. All of us want to win a state championship, but at least get to go play in it. In Texas, there's 218 teams and 4 go. These coaches from other states tell me that's the dumbest thing. How can you do it? You never make it. You've got to be. And so we just had a special group of guys. Trevor Johnson has been with me as an assistant for 10 years, and he does a great job. And he and I just felt like that team was going to be special, and they were. And then to come back this year and have Trevor finish it up when I'm out with this brain problem deal, and then get to come back and actually be there for the playoff games was, it's 2 of the best years we've ever had. And as far as wins and losses, as far as success, now we've had some great teams, and I love every one of the guys that's played for us. We have every one of their pictures in the hall starting the first year. We have the individual and team pictures in our hallway. So there will be 36 here pretty quick. And I know I can do this even after my brain surgery, because I did it last week. I went down the hall and just made sure I could tell you who every single one of those guys.
Wow. That's amazing.
I hate to get emotional like this, but there's just a lot of great kids that have played for us, and they're all, Zach and Darby and those guys on the first team, they got to be 50, what are they, 52, 53 years old, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm up here crying, I guess. But I
that's
never
awesome.
dreamed that I would coach guys that, still
You know
be
what,
coaching.
Coach? That's what I'm a coach's kid.
Yeah,
Lance's dad's in athletics. I mean, it's
I'm a coach's kid.
We're different.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're a different breed of cat. I mean, I was raised by 7 different coaches in Dumas, Texas.
Yeah.
I couldn't screw up anywhere.
Hey, I did learn one thing about being coach's kid. You want this advice? You better be the superstar or you better suck. Okay.
You don't want to be that in between.
And I'm that in between. I'm that middle all
I can
field.
tell you which one I was, and it wasn't either of those other two.
I was the middle guy. And that makes it rough on playing time, because it's all about PT. But yeah,
there's a bond. There's just a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
bond,
there
and
is.
I'm not putting anything down. I had a great relationship with my band director too. I still play
Yeah.
the drums
There's
to this
nothing like
day
it. That's 'cause-
because of my band director.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites. But there's just a different bond in the athletic world between coaches and kids. And
because you cry and you bleed and you sweat.
Yeah, you're
and
real.
you laugh
Yeah.
with those guys over the stupidest things. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's what it is.
I told my dad when I was 18 years old, I'm going to be an athletic director. And he just said, my God, kid, have I not taught you anything? I just didn't know it was going to be for 4-year-olds, So
that was smart.
Here
That
we
was
are.
really smart. Yeah,
Here we
yeah.
are. It's funny how it works, but relationships are everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's all about that.
That's what it all boils down to. If you're coaching for wins, man, that's you're going to fall short. You're never going to be satisfied, and But when you feel like I tell every team this. I hope I can give you something that'll help you. And I know you guys are going to give me things that will help me. I think as coaches, we learn so much, even right now, this year, how some of these players took the news of me and the encouragement they gave me, and some are hurting a little more. We're all different.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Man, we've got something that nobody – you guys were in sports. You know exactly what you're talking about. And that's what brings – tears to my eyes is thinking about the second year of Randall, we went 3-26.
Wow.
And I was kind of depressed. And, but those guys, they came to work every day and did their best. And don't get me wrong. I like when we go to state.
Yeah.
That was a lot better than
3-26.
3-26. But those guys on the 3-26, they work just about as hard as the other guys. So I don't know. It's just sports is fun, and it's just a lot of people play, and so they know what we're talking about, that feeling that you have.
I don't ever claim to be the best man, but I'm a better man because of the coaches that I was raised around, and I can think back to them, and I was really fortunate to grow up around my dad's group of people that he coached with, and it's just different. It's hard to
The
explain.
one thing, though, I was the bat boy, so at 7 years old, I learned a word I wasn't supposed to bring home. You know what I mean? I will say that happens on occasion. So, no, but I was a blessing being a coach's kid. I'm just going to tell you right now, my dad was the best. So.
Well, Lance is on the search committee. I'm not. We just administer this deal, but you got some more big news from us here recently, and I think maybe Lance called you.
Yeah, the Panhandle Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You're going in June. When you get honors like that, what would that mean to you?
Well, it's just, I don't feel like I'm going to take it, and I'm very grateful.
Right.
But I look at myself, and I don't think I'm that noteworthy to deserve something like that. But it's a great honor, just like this gym, and so I'm just grateful and blessed, and it means it means the world to me. Last year, Rick and Corey went in and some others, and I was there watching that. And then now this year to be able to put on one of those jackets, that'll be really, really exciting.
Well, it's deserving. How many coaches off the top of your head are at 36 years and counting
At the
the same school?
Yeah.
Not very many, if any.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and time. Because in this day and time, Coach, everybody's looking for the next best thing.
Yeah.
You found that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I found that a long time ago in doing what I do. And not many of us get to do that. Lance spent 36 years at the paper.
38.
38.
Don't forget those last two.
I mean, we're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Nobody stays in these positions that long anymore. They're always looking for the next best thing. And ever so often, one of those unique people come along and they stick with it. And they make the district better, and they make our community better, and they make those of us better for knowing you. And it's a unique area that we live in, and for people that stick around, they figure it out. And I've always said that the Panhandle of Texas we lived in a bubble until COVID, and then some of the national stuff kind of popped that bubble. But we've kind of lived in our own cocoon around here for a long, long time, and the people in this area are just different. We treat people with respect. A handshake and somebody's word's still worth something around here. And but you're most deserving of being inducted into this deal, and you get to be in there with Coach Wilcoxon and some others that and Coach Lombard and people that you've spent a lot of time around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm thrilled for you.
Well, thank you. And
as the ones that get to administer the program, it tickles me pink that you get to be a part of this deal.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the committee and just allowing me to be a part of that group. I'll remember it the rest of my life. It's awesome.
I mean, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It really was. So,
episode 001, man, we did it.
I enjoyed that. We enjoyed that so much, Leslie.
Yeah.
We can't thank you enough for joining us today.
I broke down a little
No,
bit. Man.
that's what life's about. We love that.
Part of it, I guess.
Hey, we want to remind you our broadcast is coming to you from the studios of KSPN. This was the Fieldhouse Podcast. It's a production of the Kids Inc. Sport Network. We will be back someday soon.
Ready to dive deep into the heart of sports? Then tune in, because that is exactly what we are here for at the Fieldhouse Podcast. But the Fieldhouse Podcast isn't just about us talking sports. It's about all of us, our community, our passions, and our love for the game. That's why we're reaching out to any and all local businesses who want to get in early on the action. Whether you're a restaurant looking to pack the house on game day, or a fitness center wanting to help our listeners take their game to the next level, we want to partner with you. By sponsoring the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're not just getting your brand out there, you're becoming a part of our sports family. Reach out to us today at fieldhouse@kidsinc.org. That's KIDSINC.org.